One of the companies I co-founded is a company called Space Adventures, and we are the only company to date to have flown people privately to space. We have flown 8 passengers to the space station, going up on the Soyuz. Dennis Tito was our first. Richard Garriott, who's the chairman of Space Adventures and a trustee of the X Prize Foundation, first, second generation astronaut. And our latest was Guy Laliberté, the founder and CEO of Cirque du Soleil. These people spend about $45 million to go up for 10 days to the space station. Incredible experience. If we could buy a seat on the shuttle, which we cannot, the cost per seat is probably $100 million in the shuttle. So the Soyuz is somewhat cheaper. If you went and we had a super efficient system, the cost, I think the closest you'd ever get down is probably in the $4 or $5 million per seat using existing propulsion systems. If your whole system was reusable and if you flew it on a very frequent basis. But if you go and you do the energy calculations of how much it costs to put you and your spacesuit into orbit, you know, a high school physics student can do this. It's easy. It's mass times gravity times height to get your potential energy, and then 1/2 mv squared to get your kinetic energy. And if you do that for you in a 200 kilogram spacesuit, it turns out the total energy spent over an hour is about 1.6 gigajoules. And if you bought this off the electric grid at 7 cents a kilowatt hour, the cost of getting you and your spacesuit into orbit is about 120 bucks. So the price improvement curve ahead of us is 45 million to 100 bucks. That's a pretty big motivation. You know, I'm not naive enough to think that we're not going to have amazing physics breakthroughs. I mean, technologically, we've been a technological species for 100 or 200 years, depending on where you measure that. So I think there is much we do not know. But in the near term, I'm betting on a technology which I think is very doable today. In fact, I'm in the middle of talking with a number of benefactors about creating an X Prize around this concept. It's called beamed power propulsion. And the concept is today rockets haven't changed in the last 2,000 years since early Chinese rocketry. You have a tube, you burn something inside, and the hot gases come out one end. That's, you know, they've gotten bigger, more expensive, more elaborate, more efficient, but they're still the same basic concepts. So one of the X Prize ideas that I'm excited about that I really want to have is called beam power propulsion. The way it works is you have a source of energy in the ground, either lasers or probably microwaves. And that system is getting more and more efficient every year. The price to generate a megawatt or a gigawatt of energy is coming down year after year. We're learning how to print it, make it more efficient. And what you do is you beam the energy to the rocket, and the rocket basically converts that energy to heat and heats up a working fluid like hydrogen, and then the hydrogen goes out the other end. That can reduce the cost of spaceflight by 50 to 100-fold, and it's technology that could be done right now, but no one's doing it because no one's doing it. And that's where an X Prize really comes in. If you can demonstrate something just enough, like for example, with the original Ansari X Prize for spaceflight, we demonstrated a ship carrying 3 people up to 100 kilometers twice in 2 days, and then Richard Branson comes in and says, I'd commit $250 million to commercialize that technology. So I'd love to demonstrate beam power propulsion, and once that's demonstrated enough, then new technology will come in. Every prize that we design has to meet certain attributes. Number 1, clear and measurable. 3 people, 100 kilometers. 100 mile per gallon or its equivalent car, with X parameters. Sequence 100 human genomes in 10 days. The second thing is it has to be addressing a grand challenge. It has to be something which could have a paradigm change on the back end. The third is if it's properly designed, when it's won, the world is paying attention and it ignites a new industry. For me, the fact that Branson was there committing the money and all of a sudden people started buying tickets, there have been over 1,000 tickets sold to fly into space, was what made this really exciting. Yes, Spaceship One is hanging in the Air and Space Museum right above Apollo 11 next to Spirit of St. Louis. That's great, but the fact that we have an industry going is what makes it awesome. So another thing is I'm looking for prizes that are winnable in 3 to 8 years in X prizes. If it's less than 3 years, it was too easy. More than 8 years, no one gives a shit anymore. The other thing, though, is we are now creating something we call X challenges. X prizes are these bigger $10 million or more. The X challenges are $1 million level prizes that are more winnable in a year or 2 years. They're about moving technology forward in a demonstratable fashion.